Good news for Philhealth beneficiaries. The state health insurer has allocated some 21 billion pesos for the expanded coverage of dialysis patients.
This additional coverage amounts to at least 400,000 pesos, which is equivalent to the standard dialysis requirement for 1 year.
Dapat lang yung mga pasyente ay nakatala sila doon sa ating Philhealth dialysis database. At syempre, yung kanilang pagdadialysis ay rekomendado ng isang lisensyadong doktor.
President Bongbong Marcos has formalized the appointment of Emmanuel Ledesma Jr. as President and Chief Executive Officer of Philhealth.
There is a standing proposal to put the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, or Philhealth, under the office of the President. Should this happen, there are concerns of politics coming into play in the management of the state insurer. As it is, Philhealth is already dealing with allegations of corruption and incompetence with delayed payment of hospital reimbursements. Can Philhealth see improvements if Malacanang takes direct management over it? We discuss in this episode of The Chiefs. And welcome to the Tuesday edition of The Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao. With me tonight in the studio, Ana Marie Pamintuan, the editor-in-chief of the Philippine Star. Ami,
good evening.
Today?
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, we're...
Not so happy bukas. Nakapag-ipon ka na ba ng balde ninyo?
Mang ganyan na. Biglaan ka naman eh. O nga pala, magmula bukas, Wednesday, water interruptions na for what? 600,000
From 7,
households.
yeah, 7 in the evening until 4 or up to 6 a.m. sa ibang lugar.
Oh, and that's only the start of
That's
El
only the start.
Niño. So we'll have to see how much further that goes and how much more will be affected as the weeks go on.
Pero,
Ang init today, ah.
yes. Kaya nga, kaya mukhang hindi pa madadagdagan yung tubig sa Angat naman.
Oh, so you can imagine that the water supply situation is gonna get worse.
But it's the monsoon season, sabi ng mga scientists natin, di ba? El Nino can trigger extreme conditions. So,
Extreme conditions.
kung monsoon, mas malala yung ulan, mas malala yung typhoon.
Yeah, but you just like to hope that the heavy rains fall in the right places.
Ayan nga. Hindi, malakas naman lagi dito sa...
Ang problema kasi kung umuulan sa loob ng Manila,
Baka dito.
walang umuulan din
Wala
sa dam
sa-
area sa water sa water reserves. Wala rin.
Pero usually July and August naman
Pupunta
dito.
lang ng drainage system yan. Yung tubig. So those are real concerns, very real concerns. Maligo na po kayo ng maaga.
Hindi, kaya ngayon yung ibang local governments, di ba? Nag-umpisa sila ng mga program to gather rainfall. Dapat matagal na yung ginawa, di ba?
Yeah.
Para ma-recycle.
Collecting rainwater for a lot of other things, from irrigation, farming
Ano nga.
to cleaning up the house, cleaning up yourself. And tonight we'll be talking about cleaning up Philhealth. Okay, segue, di ba?
Yung sobra segue na yan. Sige na.
Well, after the break, we'll talk about the proposal to put Philhealth's management under the office of the President. The Cheesy right back. Welcome back to Chiefs here in One News, and with us tonight here in the studio, Public Health Advocate Dr. MINGUITA Padillia. Dr. Padilla is also the former Head Executive Staff of Philhealth. And joining us via Zoom is Dr. Jose de Grano, President of the Philippine Hospitals Association, or PHAPi. So think PHAPi. Good evening, doctors, and welcome back to the program. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us tonight.
Good evening. Good evening,
Dr. de
Ed,
Grano,
Ami.
thank you for joining us again. Been a long time.
Yes,
Hi.
okay, good afternoon.
Hi, Dr. de
Yes, sir.
Grano.
Yeah. Well, ma'am, of course, we do want to talk about Philhealth, but let me get something off the table first. As early as last year, everybody remembers that you were being talked about very loudly among circles inside Malacanang and outside as the next DOH secretary. So we're all wondering what happened. Parang biglang hindi po kayo.
Yeah, well, your guess is as good as mine. I'd rather not talk about it here, no? But, well, it just didn't happen. No? And there are many reasons. People are wondering. Some people are giving all sorts of, stories. But at this point, it's immaterial already, di ba? Tapos na. So, nangyari, tapos na.
Yes, ma'am. Well, that's a very mysterious answer. A very enigmatic answer.
I'm a woman of mystery.
Well, you did say na people found it mysterious. Did you find it mysterious?
A little bit, yeah.
O sige, titigilan ko na to. Ha? Ako na magtatanong.
Tama na, kasi
Yung PhilHealth na, PhilHealth.
Kasi nagmamarites na siya.
Oo nga. Hindi, sige. Punta na tayo to the other controversial story,
Okay.
which is transferring PhilHealth from the Department of Health to the Office of the President. Most people will not understand what all the fuss is about. No?
Yeah.
Diba? So,
Yes.
ano ba ang problema doon? Because you had a tweet about it and
Yes.
pretty strong opinions about it.
Yeah, first of all, we're all asking the reason why. Nobody has told us why they even thought about this. So it's a very unscientific way of doing things. Usually you say there's a problem and let's try to find a solution. Now you're presenting a solution without a problem.
Walang sabi nila, it will
Make
lead
it-
to better efficiency.
Yeah,
Tama
but
ba yan?
actually, well, if that's what they're saying, then a lot of groups have studied the proposal and they've said, no, it will not. No? So I think, first of all, you have to understand what's wrong with PhilHealth. What do we have to fix? Okay? And transferring to the Office of the President, somebody who's so busy as it is, who has so many...
With the agriculture portfolio?
that alone, it's already big, but then he has so many other things to think of, okay? The whole country, not just one, not just two. And then you're going to put PhilHealth, an agency with so many problems, so many layers and layers of problems that to a untrained person, you can easily be drawn into the trap. Look what happened to past presidents. Poor General Morales, very good track record. What
Yeah,
happened?
Dick Morales,
He
yeah.
was drawn into something that, it's like quicksand, okay? And there's so many layers of problems. Now, but that's not all, no? I asked our makeup artist, anong sa tingin mo mangyayari, no?
Si Margie.
I just asked an ordinary person. She asked me, anong topic niyo? Pag-usapan namin ng proposal na ilipat ang PhilHealth sa office ng presidente. Ano? She went, ayoko na mag-contribute pag gano'n kasi baka hindi natin alam kung anong mangyayari. This is a very ordinary person. It's a double-edged sword, okay? If you know what the problems really are, the logical answer would be solve the problems of PhilHealth, and we can talk about that later. But the first question is why? Why are they doing this? Efficiency? It doesn't make sense. Because you mean the whole bureaucracy of PhilHealth will become more efficient? All the problems will disappear? I mean, the president can pay attention to PhilHealth more than a Secretary of Health and all the other persons, and a president. There's now a full-time president. You mean he cannot do it? He needs the president to tell him. And why do you have to transfer it? Can't the president order them? He can certainly order them. Political will. I want you to fix the IT system. I want you
that's
to make
true,
sure that the cases get decided immediately. Give them a whole buffet or smorgasbord of what you have to do. It doesn't have to be transferred under the president.
But
And-
now, if you follow kasi the president's logic in retaining the portfolio of the agriculture department, his logic was, it's such an important department that I need to have a hands-on and eyes-on capability in that problematic department or issue. He might be, or
The same
one
thing.
might argue that that's also the same logic that he's applying here. Na ito napaka-problemado, ayoko ipaubaya sa ibang tao, therefore I will be on top of it.
Well, it's also possible it will be political suicide for him. And that's also the analysis of many people. Does he know the real problems of PhilHealth? Is he an expert in PhilHealth? I know that kind of logic possible, no? But the fear of many, as I was telling you, is how can you now investigate a department or an agency which is under the office of the most powerful person in the country? There might be the lack of transparency. And you're talking about health insurance.
It's like investigating yourself.
Yes. And in health insurance, it's different from health insurance is different from DA. They all have their own problems, but health insurance requires the utmost transparency because you're paying for people's health. And one more thing that's very different. We are contributors to PhilHealth. This is public money. And so the attitude and the reaction of most people is, pera natin ito. Even the employees of PhilHealth, the rank and file, have raised a stink. And they said, we were never consulted. And they asked all the employees of the GOCCs, they're all apprehensive. We are the backbone of this organization. Our contributions, which are quite big already, make up the backbone of PhilHealth, the lifeblood of PhilHealth. We need to be consulted about this. And we need to make sure we can always demand accountability. That's what's...
Well, let's bring Dr. De Grano siguro, because the hospitals, of course, deal extensively with PhilHealth. So, Dr. De Grano, your thoughts on this controversy, this plan?
Well, actually, first, it did not come from us, no, from our sector.
Okay.
Did not come from our
Okay.
sector. And so we were wondering who was, who were asking for the transfer. Is it Department of Health or is it PhilHealth or the people from PhilHealth or even management of PhilHealth? But of course, that's not what we wanted. What we wanted was a change inside PhilHealth.
Yes, correct.
And the transfer, I think, will not do anything about it because, well, PhilHealth works under a charter, its own law.
Yes,
And
it's a
so, medyo, we were really wondering bakit, who was asking for it,
Well, yun na nga ang sabi nila, that it will improve, it intends to improve efficiency. Do you think that's correct?
Well, you can do that, actually, but what we wanted on our side is for an amendment, amendment of the laws that covers PhilHealth, and specifically the quasi-judicial powers of PhilHealth, wherein they are the accuser, they are the prosecutor, they are the judge, and they are the executioner. Where can you find an agency where it is quite, unfair for us, especially for the health facilities?
Dr. Grano, I do remember nung kasagsagan ng pandemya, ang parang yung problema ay reimbursement.
Yes.
Will this help solve that problem or will this worsen the problem?
We don't know.
We don't know if they will, but just recently, I think yesterday, we received a new circular telling us that we have from July 5 for 60 days, we can refile for those COVID claims that were not paid since 2020.
2020?
And so, yes, it probably is around maybe around 2 to 4 billion, maybe around 4 billion.
Well, to his point, na yun na nga, PhilHealth is functioning as a prosecutor, judge, and
Quasi-judicial,
all
yeah.
of
Actually,
Everything.
yeah, I know that, no? And one of I was telling you, what do we need? We need to reform a lot of things inside PhilHealth. One is the IT system, definitely. Like one of the reasons the hospitals don't get paid on time, or even some doctors are getting charged, Dr. De Grano, for double billing. But in fact, they did not really double bill, but the system, the portal and PhilHealth do not speak the same language, okay? And now, you're a national insurance corporation. One of the main things they have to fix is the IT system. And I was very hopeful during this new administration when some people in the administration told me, those in confidence, now that was one of the main thrusts, which I was so glad. But so far, it hasn't happened yet. The legal system is one of the things that has to be really overhauled in PhilHealth. I understand the reason for the quasi-judicial because they wanted it to be very powerful. Kaya lang, with time, it also breeds corruption. Absolute power breeds corruption.
That's not even under the office of the president yet. What happens if it's transferred to the
that
office
way.
of the president?
Yeah, and what's happening now is, I know, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me, Dr. De Grano, or even admit it, when I was in PhilHealth, I was head executive staff, I had doctors complaining to me that they were being extorted by by lawyers inside. Like, the good system, the ideal, is that, ikaw, Dr. Ed, may ginawa kang masama. You did something wrong, and you should be punished for that, The punishment is a fine and suspension. But what is happening sometimes is, I will not punish you. I'll keep giving you your funds, even if you're doing something unethical, you're doing something illegal, but you give me a percentage. So it's parang kotong, It becomes like that, and it became like that for many. But the doctors are too afraid to say anything. Siyempre, now, it might be a good idea to do an amnesty for everybody, basta magsabi lang sa amin kung sino, no? My point is, it became like that, no? It breeds that, and we have to look into it really well, that system, if it can still be like that, because it is very scary, no? And there are cases in Philhealth right now, undecided, against healthcare institutions and practitioners, 5 years. So why is like that? Why is it 5 years? What is happening to those cases? Are they just being binuburo lang ba? May parking fee ba? Ayaw lang ba i-decide? What is it? And it's also unfair to the doctors whose cases are lingering that long. So
Could you give us an idea? What are these unethical practices?
illegal recruiting. Okay?
How can a doctor
It's
do illegal
unethical, but there was a time that was one of the major problems of Philhealth. For example, there was a time pneumonia fraud was very common. They would recruit, they would tell families, they would get recruiters, no, to tell families, magpa-admit kayo overnight, parang staycation sa ospital, and you'll sign the form, you said you had pneumonia, and Philhealth would pay, and then even if you don't have pneumonia, and then they'll give the patient like some groceries. That's illegal recruiting. That's unethical.
That's within Philhealth or
the doctors, the hospitals before. Now some hospitals, but you see that can easily be nipped in the bud. Cataract was very common. Cataract recruitment. No, that was one of the major problems.
But they actually conducted cataract
sometimes
surgeries.
yes, sometimes they did, but without telling them that they did. They said, nililinis lang namin ang mata mo. It was like that. It became so rampant, and those are unethical. But there was a time they were continuing because of these,
Pinalulusot siya.
yes, sort of kickbacks, no? And this is the truth. This is the very sad truth about what was happening. We have had to really do a lot of cleaning, and we were able to do a lot, no? But as Dr. De Grano says, when you're the investigator, you're the prosecutor, you're the judge, and the executor, executor, then it can really cause problems if you are not honest, because it can really breed this culture. You really have to be really honest, and the persons in charge have to really be people of, exemplary character.
Ma'am, ang dami pong ang dami
Oo
niyong
nga
Okay.
Ang dami talaga.
Quickly lang, IT system, legal system, corruption, illegal
Governance.
recruitment. Illegal recruitment.
Oo nga eh.
And of course, as well, I suppose yung politics. But in the end, how do you solve a problem like Philhealth? I mean, we've been
masakit sa
talking
ulo,
about
no?
this organization for the longest time.
Well,
Ilang cycle na ng pagpalit.
actually, there has to be, first it should start from the top. That's why, if the president wants it, why? If he says, because I want to clean up the corrupt and make sure there's transparency, can he say that? Because maybe that's what we need. I don't know. It's a double-edged sword, no?
Can he say that?
I don't know. Can he say that? I hope he can. I'm waiting for him to say that. If he says that, let's give it a try. But again, as Dr. De Grano says, there's a law. There's a Republic Act
7875.
I beg your pardon?
7875.
7875. And Article 6 says the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation shall be an agency, a GOCC, tax-free, attached to the Department of Health. So there's a charter. It's not as easy to transfer as other executive departments, I think. So it might cause
you will
problems.
need a law.
I believe so. Now, but isn't it possible for the president to do this, even just being the president and having Philhealth as an executive branch under him? He can do that. And the ombudsman has a lot of cases now filed in the ombudsman against certain Philhealth officers. And this came about because of the Senate investigations of 2020. Remember that? During the height of the pandemic. And the President Duterte formed the committee led by the DOJ secretary. They filed several cases with the ombudsman. Until now, they're unresolved. So things like that. So it's not just one agency. It's several agencies that have to work together. And I think the people inside Philhealth who have been doing this year in and year out, those responsible for a lot of the problems, have to be held accountable. Without accountability, nothing will happen.
Dr. Grano, can we bring you in? Well, si Dr. Padilla was pointing out a lot of problems in the past. Of course, you're still head of the PHAPi. Tell us how it is right now as far as those issues are concerned. May ganun pa rin bang, ano, for example, illegal recruitment, parang daig pa yung, parang kailangan ng POEA.
Well, I think wala nang masyadong ganun. No?
Ngayon.
What we just recently, of course, we noticed an efficient payment of recent claims. Recent claims. Ibig sabihin yung claims that were made probably for this year. But of course, there were a lot of claims still from 2020 to 2021, the COVID claims that are still not paid. But we noticed an increase in the payment nga for the recent claims. And then, of course, we were expecting that there should be really an improvement in the IT system, as Doctora has said.
Yeah,
because
that's been
right now,
talked about even
nagiging
before
problem.
One would think na after all that talking about improving the IT system, may mangyayari. So, may nangyari ba?
Dapat lang pero right now parang hindi pa tapos. If ever they are trying to improve the system, parang hindi pa rin tapos. Nagkakaroon pa rin ng problem because nagkakaroon ng snag within the law. You send your claims and then sasabihin nila they did not receive it, parang ganon. And then you refile, sasabihin sila double filing na. Yun na-mention yan ni Doktora. And ibig sabihin, the system is not really fully digitalized or whatever, something like that.
So, Dr. De Grano, you said parang mas mabilis na ang processing ngayon ng PhilHealth ng mga claims niya. What changed? In just the past 2 years ba yan?
A
few months lang.
When I think the new PCEO was initially appointed, he made sure that something will have to change. And of course, we were asked, what are your problems? And we told them, these are our problems, the non-payment of these things, of our claims. And I think she made sure that for the past few months, initially when we started, that we are paid at once or faster.
Pero
But of
yun
course,
nga,
there are a
what
lot.
changed? Paano siyang napabilis? What changed?
I'm not sure. Probably he told the people under him that you better do this, otherwise, because he is the new PCEO.
Actually, I can confirm that for the last several months, even latter part of last year, I think, Dr. De Grano, we were getting paid.
Yes,
like even some of the paid faster than in the past. So I can confirm that for our hospital as well.
So
which
what
is good.
Changed now? What changed?
Well, it could be because maybe they realize that it's one of the issues that there's dialogue with the hospitals. Other than that, I'm not inside Philhealth anymore, but this is a welcome change. The problem is, another thing about being a double-edged sword, I don't know if you experienced this, Dr. De Grano, last week, there was a major slowdown in the IT of Philhealth, right? And even a lot of patients and doctors and hospitals were suffering. And it got to TikTok, it became viral, the complaints. So Philhealth had to have a meeting. Now, it's not directly under the president, so the ones they were hitting were Philhealth. If this is under the president, who will get hit? Every time there's a snag in Philhealth, it's the president, okay? It's under him directly. There's no more layer. That layer also protects him, okay? So it's like giving him a stone to bump against his head, no? Why can't the people under him just do what they have to do? And why can't he order them to do it? And say, look, this is what I want, period. He can certainly do that.
Ma'am, let me back up a bit. Kasi like a while ago, you mentioned all these problems that I'll start off, I'll go through them one by one. Let's start off with IT. We talked about it a bit already, pero I'd like to go back to IT kasi parang, in the end, a lot of it boils down to a system issue.
Yeah.
Diba?
Okay.
What has to be done?
Okay. Right now, it is porous and fragmented yet. Porous, madaling makalusot, leakages, and fragmented. It's not yet totally integrated and interoperable. That's why, as Dr. De Grano said, sometimes you'll send what you call this, a claim. It's not received properly.
Parang
Okay,
telegrama.
halimbawa, your
You send it
hospital.
again.
Parang telegram.
Halimbawa, your hospital. Saan yun pupunta muna?
So PhilHealth nga, there's a portal. There are portals now. See,
okay.
but not all those portals are. May nagsabi nga sa PhilHealth in a very simple way. Some portals are talking Ilocano and then in PhilHealth is Bisaya. So parang pagdating hindi talaga nagkakaintindihan. Ngayon, they've been very lax in the provinces. Sometimes they say, hey, you can use another system. But that system, it leaks. No? So now you don't know, totoo ba talaga ganun kadaming pasyente or not? No? Then there's no, when we were there, one of my pet peeves was dead people who were being reimbursed. Okay? Why can't you do a tie-up with the Philippine Statistics Authority? Automatically, kung may namatay, Philhealth. Alam niyo, you cannot anymore pay claims for that patient. No? Professional Regulations Commission. You'll know that the professionals, the doctors we have to pay. We are forced to good. We're captive. We cannot even become accredited if we don't pay our premiums. But many professionals don't pay their premiums, okay? So there are many ways to fix the problem. So we were doing that. We had a enterprise architect to integrate the system, and we had you press the button, there was what do you call that? You could see exactly how many pneumonias, how many cataracts, how many that were being done. After we left in 2016, something happened. And then we were they became so non-transparent. No? And now I'm hoping the DICT will really put their foot down and really include Philhealth in this nationwide interconnectivity project, because you have to be interconnected, that's one. And we have to improve the system so that it's all talking to each other. That's one. No? So, and then it seems there was a lot of resistance
From
people inside.
Within, yeah.
because
It's easier to because
cheat.
I remember that it was so difficult. One of my last projects was Oplan Linis Tala, wherein we realized that out of 11,000 users of the database of the Outlook, only 3,000 were legit.
Huh?
So how many?
No, napakiulit.
Yung computer system sa loob, when was that last cleaned? Is it being cleaned? How many are using the system who should not be using the system? And then different identities, things like that. But
That's 70% of the people using are not
so
allowed
the
to.
inside. Yeah, so my point is, we need transparency. We need we need assurance from our government, from DICT. Secretary Ivan Uy, can't he now look into that? I was suggesting before a twice a year random audit of the IT, not COA. As is, pasok, sige, tingnan natin how it is running. Because that's a major, that starts with that. Because you can ang daming kalokohan pwede sa IT, di ba? Garbage in, garbage out. So, ayusin dapat yung IT.
Okay, Doc, we just need to take a quick break, but we will continue this discussion after a break. Let's be right back.
Welcome back to the Chiefs. We're still talking about the proposal to transfer Philhealth's management to the Office of the President. Still with us, Public Health Advocate Dr. MINGUITA Padilla and Private Hospitals Association President Dr. Jose De Grano. Dr. De Grano, Dr. Padilla has some very interesting revelations, no? And she's proposing, if we really want to fix up Philhealth, we need to work on the IT. Now, are the hospitals prepared to be involved in this? Siyempre, kasama kayo dapat dito, di ba? Do they have the capability? Do you have the connectivity? Do you have the infrastructure for this kind of overhaul of the system?
I think we can do that. No? The problem right now is their system. We will just have to make what you call interoperability of the different systems. The hospitals have different providers for health information system, probably around 7 of them differently. So, but a lot of them go to one provider, more than 200 or 300 of them. So why don't we adopt a real standard HIS or hospital information system, which can talk or which can have an interoperability with the system of Philhealth. And with that, there will be a handshake between Philhealth and the hospitals, and there should be no problem.
So kaya yon even the smallest hospitals, even in the remote areas, kaya yon kasi that's one of the things that the PhilHealth officials are saying. Nahihirapan daw sila with the smaller hospitals. Ang hirap-hirap daw mag-verify ng claims because nga of the lack of, well, in some areas you don't even have internet, di ba?
Yes.
So mahirap-hirap yung IT. So kaya ba yon even the small hospitals?
I think they can do that because right now even the hospitals, the small hospitals, already have some information system with them, you know. And the only problem with these remote hospitals, of course, is the internet. You know,
Yes.
that's the problem because that's a communication problem, which is of course it's not within the power of the hospitals to control. You know.
Yes. So that's a problem of the
Yeah, no,
hospitals.
that's why we were very happy when the DICT people said we now have
Yes.
Starlink. They have Starlink, and Starlink is the answer to that, no? Because
Hopefully.
yes, hopefully, because even in
yeah.
Australia,
Starlink.
for example, I came from there, and then even the Aboriginal tribes, they have Starlink now, and you can do so much with that, no? So again, we have so much hope for improving the IT system of the country, but you cannot have a national health insurance provider whose IT system is, in the Jurassic age, or who's not up to date, and who is not on top of things as far as this is concerned. Because even, not only the patients, the doctors, all of us suffer. All of us suffer because of that.
I think we all agree naman, we all want to improve the connectivity
Yeah.
and
Even here in-
the ability to
Even in
talk
the
to each other.
studio.
Pero well, what we want is one thing, but the other thing is to move it forward. Who has to do what? Kumaga, sinong kailangang dikdikin para
Yeah.
para ayusin to?
No, actually, I said, if the president really is serious about it, he can tell them, I want you to fix this by this time. No, fix the IT system. Because kaya
Right.
naman niya. He's the president, no? And it's the Secretary of Health, who's the chairman of the board, is his secretary, is his cabinet member.
I understand. Pero kasi ganun din nung I remember panahon ba ni Dick Morales yun, they were also talking about the need to improve the IT
Yeah,
system.
but they
the
were not
digitalization.
serious. That's why there has to be accountability. Because you can say that and dictate it, but you don't hold anybody accountable if it's not done. Nobody is punished. Nobody is held accountable. Kawawa nga si General Morales. He was the one who took the
the fall.
fall. Yeah. And I felt so bad for him, actually.
He had a very good record in the AFP.
Yes, and then look what happened in Philhealth. We warned him. We warned him about the problems, but he was drawn into the system, and look what happened. No, so we have to exercise Philhealth. Anyway,
Kailangan talagang basbasan.
talagang basbasan, no? Pausukan, no? Pero there has to be political will, and a president should say it. That if you do not do this by this time, and you know what happened? We tried to have the people from DICT under Secretary Gringo Onasan then investigate what was happening inside Philhealth. They were not allowed to do so
Why?
by Philhealth.
Is it
They
possible?
were, I don't know, that should not be possible, but it happened. So my point is why? There's no transparency. It has to be a law, or it has to be an EO or something that you must allow the DICT to check what's happening inside.
Parang IT audit.
Yes, I said an IT audit. We need an
Yes.
IT audit. That's the first thing we have to do. Open them up to an IT audit. And the president should really exercise his authority and tell them, give them deadlines and give them, things that they must accomplish. And it doesn't have to transfer to him to do that, And he will not be accused of trying to control the funds. You know how people are. There are so many conspiracy theorists. No? So, di ba? I mean, for me, there's no need to transfer if he just exercises his authority.
But ma'am, it's the need for somebody, a heavyweight, to crack down.
Crack the whip, yes.
And crack the
Yes.
whip and whip people into line.
Yes, yes.
I'll go back to the earlier discussion we had. Baka this is the president's. I'm not saying that this is. Baka,
Yeah.
but this is maybe the president's thinking na maybe I'm the one who should do it. Of course, that also comes with other problems as well.
Yes.
Pero,
Yeah. But then the thing is, it does not inspire confidence from the stakeholders, from the contributors, that there will be the same amount of transparency. Because how can you now audit the president? No, really, honestly, let's be practical. Can COA say, oh, this, and then can a GCG now say, oh, your performance is so bad? No? Can the Senate and the House do blue ribbon investigations and say the buck stops with him? Whereas our health system, because of the evolution, has become very politicized. Many healthcare workers in the provinces are at the mercy of the LGUs, which is the truth, no? And if your local government executive is great, fantastic. But if health is not a priority, nakakaawa. So parang, by putting it under the office of the president, the fear of many, it will be more politicized rather than autonomous. So there's a balance. So now you get the attitude of the people. There's fear, even among the employees, even among the GOCC employees, there's trepidation, apprehension. So is it necessary? And will it really make things better? Or will it create more doubt in the people to the point that some may not want to contribute?
Dr. De Grano, whatever happens to Philhealth will affect your association. Do you share Dr. Minguita's concerns?
Yes, of course. I believe that I agree with her regarding the different problems that we are encountering right now, which is primarily because of the IT problem also. Yes.
Is your group going to put together siguro a statement or a position paper on the issue since it's still ongoing, it's under discussion?
Which one, the transfer?
The transfer to the office of the president?
I'm not sure whether
Or have you
it's
been
an issue
consulted
right
at
now.
all? You haven't been consulted at all?
No, yeah, we were not.
Consultations.
Can
Not
you
yet.
tell us the process now? Kasi you told us kanina, you've been able to collect some of the claims, pero as far back pa yun as 2020, no? Can you tell us the process now? Paano? Mas mahirap, mas madali?
Well, actually, we would like to thank COA, no? Because they found out that Philhealth has not been paying millions or even billions of these COVID claims. And so they instructed Philhealth, or they asked Philhealth, why are you not paying these millions of claims? Well, of course, that's already being solved. But what will happen now is actually those claims were already filed and refiled for the past 3 years. And now they are asking us again to refile it starting July 5 for 60 days or within 60 days so that they will determine whether they will pay our claims starting from 2020 up to the present.
Bakit pinapa-refile? Because there's new management? Ganun ba yun?
Siguro po, yun ang order ng COA. And probably they have to go through that process.
Again, COA. Will it be as easy for COA to order the office of the president to do that? Those are concerns of the ordinary people and even of politicians themselves. No? Because of also doctors and hospitals. No, syempre, it might be not as easy. Okay, I think the issue here is the transparency, it's accountability. And I'm really hoping the president will really hold people accountable in Philhealth once and for all. The people who have not been held accountable for years. No? May kaso, kinakasuhan, pero wala namang nangyayari. Some are just made to leave the country. There have been cases, there have been murders, there have been, these are
murders.
Yes, in the past, no, because of Philhealth, because of there are cases you can even look it up in the internet.
Yes.
May mga bank tellers, mga ganon. So it's there is a very deep rooted problems inside, and the people who have been involved have not really been held accountable. You really need somebody to crack the whip, but without sacrificing the confidence of the people in the institution as well. No?
Where are we exactly now as far as that proposal is concerned? It's still a proposal. May technical working
it's
group,
funny
no?
because during the time of OIC Vergere, she created a technical working group. Okay, and this technical working group, some from DOH, some from Philhealth, then they even gave some. They asked some groups to comment. The comments are in, and I can tell you that it's almost all negative. No, it's not really going to do it to work. No, and one school of government even said it's political suicide on the part of the president. No, they went to as far as to say that. No, and so it's there, but we haven't seen the. We haven't been consulted, really.
Yes.
No? The PHAPi hasn't been consulted. We haven't been consulted. And we, the stakeholders, also have to be told because we're giving our monthly premiums. And we're the backbone of PhilHealth, our money. No? So
But ma'am, what is our understanding of where things are now?
we
Are
don't
they is Malacanang already partial to the idea, or
I
is it
don't
still
know.
just under study?
I don't know, and I don't even know where it emanated. Where
yeah, I
it
was
really
going to ask
emanated.
that.
Yeah,
Who thought
really,
about it?
who really wants it and why? Because we haven't been told the real reason, and they keep telling each other, "Ne siya." You know, so it's we're not sure. You know, it's very I don't know how it's called. It's very mysterious. Another mystery. So many mysteries.
So many mistakes in this country.
Not from the new PhilHealth management. Are you aware of that?
I know some people from the PhilHealth officers, and they're not in favor. I don't want to say what their speculations are. It's not for me to speculate. Maybe you should interview PhilHealth. Maybe you should interview President Ledesma and ask
We'll
him.
try to get him.
Dr. De Grano, you have any idea where this idea came from? Parang walang
No,
nakakaalam
no,
kung
ma'am.
sino eh.
No, wala.
Wala, hindi
Wala
namin
rin?
alam. Nobody wants to say where it came from. Yeah.
Parang the idea is an orphan, but it's an idea that's
Oo nga eh.
already underway.
It's an orphan. DOH says it's from PhilHealth. But you ask PhilHealth, who among you? Who's... Hindi nila alam. Nagtuturoan.
But you agree, Dr. De Grano, that it will need legislation
Yes.
to
yes, I
transfer
think
it to the
we'll
office
have
of the
to-
president?
Yes, I think they'll be violating the charter probably of
Yes.
PhilHealth if they do something like that.
And if it's legislation, the legislators will have to consult the stakeholders, including your group, siyempre.
Yes,
They
po,
should.
siguro. For the amendment to the laws governing PhilHealth. po.
So
Yes.
just in case itulak pa rin yan, that idea, what will you propose, Dr. Padilla? Kung
What do you mean
sakasakali.
itulak? Like
Kung itulak by legislation, the transfer to
Then
the office of the
I would
president.
suggest that I think all of us doctors have to write to our congressmen and senators and tell them what we really feel. No? Because
That you are opposed to it.
yes, and
period.
why? No, and what can be done? What else can be done? Because there are many solutions, you know, as we talked about, that will address the systemic problems of PhilHealth. The president certainly has the power to command and to order them to do what's right and hold them accountable. You know, si President Duterte put up a committee headed by the DOJ secretary. Remember that, no? And he came up with recommendations, and they filed charges in the ombudsman. Okay, now perhaps the president can ask the ombudsman, nasaan, ano nangyari sa mga kaso? I mean, he is the president, so he has power over all these executive departments. So, you know, so my point is, many things can be done without having to transfer it to the office of the president.
What about your group, Dr. De Grano? Kung talagang ipagpilitan pa rin, and it will be filed in Congress, and your group is consulted, ano po yung masasabi ninyo sa ating mga mambabatas?
But initially we have to know the reason why. Why do we have to transfer it?
Yes.
Will it benefit us?
Yes.
You know, there's no reason yet.
Yeah.
The idea just came out. And then why? We were all wondering why. And then, of course, we have to know the reason behind it so that we'll know what action we'll take. Yes.
Yeah, it's the big question is why?
Why?
Nobody can tell us efficiency. Come on, and then they cannot even explain in what way, you know, and where did it emanate?
Ayun na nga yung sinasabi ni Ed na para daw mabilis kung may loko-loko dyan eh.
Hindi
Mas
naman
madali
kailangan,
siyang-
hindi mas madali yan. I mean, directly he'll be micromanage ang presidente the whole day, you know, and then it's like I don't know, it's a mystery. As I said again, the nth time I
The
say,
word of the day.
the nth time I'm saying it's a mystery, but it's really a mystery.
Okay, ma'am, ganito lang. We've been talking about all the problems in PhilHealth, everything from corruption and the need to undertake
IT.
reforms. Let's say na if Congress finally decides to pass a law amending the Charter of PhilHealth, sabihin natin ilabas natin o ihiwalay natin yung moving it under the OP. What other amendments or reforms would you want to put in place through a law? Maliban dun sa ano? Ihiwalay natin yung ano, ihiwalay
wag sa
natin
OP, no?
yung OP.
I think what Dr. De Grano mentioned earlier is maybe to review the legal system. No, first of all, they have to make sure that the cases are decided quickly. No, And then
How quickly might be quickly?
it's already there, 90 days, 120
90
days. I mean,
days.
and if they don't do it, there has to be accountability on the part of Philhealth. For not, walang accountability no? They just put there the number of days it should be, and then, it's now, sometimes the hospital gets dragged into problems that are purely the fault of their doctors. Maybe they have to look into that. Now, you don't have to bring the hospital in if it's a doctor's fault, unless it's recidivism. They keep doing it again and again and again, and the hospital just allows it. No, I think we have to legislate the random audit of the IT system by a reputable company, because it's really a major problem. Those are just some of them, no? And then, what else? And then we have to strictly implement the qualifications of the board and the president. There are qualifications that they have to, but nobody follows them.
Strictly implement.
The qualifications.
In other words, they're there already.
Yes, they're there. There has to be oversight, really, because, for example, it says you have to have at least 7 years experience either in public health or health finance. Is it being followed? I don't know.
Okay.
All the members of the board and the PCAO must undergo a course on health finance before they even assume their job. Has it happened? We don't know. There's so much we don't know is happening. So oversight has to be more frequent, perhaps. And this just some of them. There are many things we can check, and even the automatic, bringing up the premiums every year. I don't think it should be automatic. No, because we have to also see how they're performing, because for so many years they have been performing very dismally based on the GCG, and yet, we keep giving them our funds.
What about you, Dr. De Grano? If a measure is filed, well, let's say hindi na ita-transfer nga, no? Just to amend the charter of Philhealth, do you have any recommendations to improve the performance of Philhealth?
Well, aside from what Dr. Padilla has mentioned, I still would like to have an amendment of the quasi-judicial powers of PhilHealth, because for us, it is quite unfair, and for me alone, I think it violates the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of our right of equality before the law on non-discrimination, and even our Bill of Rights. It violates the provisions of the Bill of Rights, because we are denied equal protection of the law, being fighting against somebody who can accuse you, prosecute you, judge you, and then execute the penalty. Yes.
Execute the penalty.
Give the penalty. I mean, that's the basic problem. I think that has to be solved first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Pero, doctors, the issue of corruption, the issue of, I don't know if it's mismanagement, pero all these are the issues we've been talking about before. Labas pa yung PhilHealth being judged during executioner, labas pa yung Office of the President at yung digitalization. The corruption issues, are we anywhere near where we want to be as far as resolving that issue is concerned?
As I said, until people are truly held accountable, it will not happen. Because there have been cases filed, but nobody punished. You understand? No? And I hear Dr. De Grano saying, yes, I think that's true for all departments, and for all governments, and for everywhere. Because that's why, again, political will on the part of the president, I think he can call upon his ombudsman, perhaps.
I understand, but prosecution is one thing. That's prosecuting people who have already been who already violated the law. But fixing the system as far as making sure that there are leakages that are plugged and all these other problems in the future. Where do we go?
Well, aside from the IT, because the IT will plug a lot of leakages, really. And if there's an audit, independent audit, random, that will also put them, on guard. That, okay, we will not do this, no, and no more excuses for not doing the IT. Enough excuses, no, and then accounting, the accounts, no, the financial statements have to really be examined, Because in the past, the COA reports, as I think 2019 or 2020, the COA reported that they saw evidence of tampering with the FS. It was reported. So what happened to that?
Nahuli ba nun?
May nakasuhan, pero wala pang nangyari.
Wala pang ano.
Oo. So, my point is, COA reported, and that's a major accusation, okay, that you're tampering with the FS of the National Insurance Program. So we want, I think, so from the very start, and then I'm sorry if I sound corny, but it has to be leadership by example. Even the president, the PCAO must be tough, no? And the president must tell him, okay, you go after them. You go after these people, no? And let them see. Because as soon as 80%, I'd say 80% or 85% of the people are good in Philhealth. They're honest, they're good workers.
Yes.
But their spirits are being destroyed, by the few who are corrupt. Okay?
And all these years kasi parang
Parang it's
scandal parati.
oh, parang they're entrenched and people are afraid of them. There's fear. There's fear. Dr. De Grano, I'm sure you know that many doctors are afraid to even say anything against Philhealth.
Dr. De
because-
Grano, your
Of
thoughts
course,
on this?
of course.
A
Even
lot,
hospital owners, they're afraid of saying anything bad.
Yes,
against
because
Philhealth.
even
Yes.
us talking like this, di ba, we have to be brave because,
Yeah.
we depend on Philhealth for our reimbursements, no? Many patients will not go to you if you don't have Philhealth, diba? So doctors we're held captive also, but we have to speak because it's not just for us, it's for the patients, it's for all of us, and we want universal health care to have a chance, and it's to give accessible, quality health care to as many Filipinos, all Filipinos dapat, no? But you cannot, our health system is devolved. The power really rests with Philhealth. They are the ribbon that ties everything together. They are the payer of services. They hold the money. So carrot and the stick sila. So we really have to fix Philhealth if we have a chance at UHC.
Dr. De Grano, last words.
Well, of course, first, regarding the transfer, of course, we did not initiate that or even thought about it. And then, of course, we need to have a change, maybe amendment, as I mentioned, in the Charter of Philhealth. And of course, that is, of course, we want to have an improvement. Of course, basically, the hospitals want to be paid. That is the basic thing,
Yeah.
We rendered service, we have to be paid. That's basic, Thank you, po.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. MINGUITA Padilla and Dr. Jose De Grano. Doctors, maraming salamat for joining us tonight. Really fruitful, I'd like to think so.
Very enlightening.
Enlightening
Thank you.
discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat. And that's all we have for the Chiefs. I'm Ed Lingao.
We hope what was discussed will keep the conversation going. I'm Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.